He's from Scotland, and he has been in Poland for how many years now? 7 years. Speaks Polish. I think he's going to speak in English today. I think, right? We convinced him. We convinced him, though he convinced others to do their first triathlon before we finally convinced him to do one. And finally, he did his first try in 2012, last year. Yeah. Clearly, his best leg of the triathlon is the running portion, where he blows by everybody after he's lost all sorts of time in the water and the bike. You can always convince him to have a drink after a workout, and his speech will be a triathlon, not as bad as I thought it would be. I introduce Andy Mossop, who we call the Midget.
Hello. So, let's see what's coming up here. I'm not actually sitting on the bike. I'll come to that later because I'm not just bad at swimming, but I'm also quite bad at cycling too. But I'll start with a sad story. My childhood. I don't actually remember it, but there's a story in my family that it ends up with people laughing at my dad and laughing at me because when I was old enough to walk, somehow on a family trip I ended up finding my way into the middle of a lake. And by the time anyone realized where I was out in the middle of the lake. And for some reason, my dad was the first person to notice. And the first thing he did was to get his camera out and to take a picture. I don't remember it at all, but obviously there was some kind of childhood trauma there, and I've never enjoyed swimming. But a happy childhood story, not much later, when I was 4 or 5 and old enough to run, I remember being at school and running home from school and looking down at the spots on the ground and seeing that I was running so fast they joined up. And for like a 4-year-old kid, this is really exciting. So I went home and told my dad how fast I was running, and he was really proud of me. So from then on, I enjoyed running. So I consider myself, to begin with, as a runner who does triathlon from time to time. And I think there's quite a few of us out there. But the more I do triathlon, the more I like it. Yeah, when it comes to doing my first triathlon, this isn't my first one, but the night before the first triathlon, it was my first time ever using SPD pedals. So these are these like really small block pedals, which you actually have to clip into and clip out of. And the night before the triathlon, I was out in front of the hotel with 2 people holding onto my bike and me trying to get onto the bike and clip my pedals in, and I kept falling over, and someone came out of the hotel and said, "Oh, you're never too old to learn how to ride a bike." The first triathlon I was actually a bit nervous about the night before, and the whole months before the triathlon I was worried about swimming, so I had lessons like Alan recommended, and the whole night before the triathlon changed my viewpoint, and then I was most scared about cycling. And I think I won a prize for being the most stressed and most scared person before a triathlon as well. And the reason why I didn't join Alan on the Schedelse one, it's partly because I was sick and also partly, honestly, because I was scared of swimming. So I turned up late, see you, Alan, and took some pictures of him, and then after he'd done it, I felt like I should probably give it a try as well. Generally what I wanted to talk about was, as the title was, triathlon isn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I just wanted to mention a couple of things as a runner that surprised me about being a triathlete, because I'd read a lot. Obviously I was with the club, so got a lot of good advice from people around me, but still on the day of the actual triathlon itself, there was quite a lot that surprised me. So one thing that surprised me was that it wasn't actually that bad getting punched and kicked in the leg. You kind of get used to it. You do some of the punching and kicking yourself. And the first time what I found helped was just from time to time doing a bit of breaststroke, doing a bit of crawl, and mixing it between the both, and it managed to get me to the finish line, to the end of the swim, which is what I wanted for the first triathlon. And although I can't say I hated it, it was the part I was most scared about. And once I managed to get on my bike and pedal away, from that moment on, I was just enjoying every second of it. And my first kind of shock realization was that, hey, like 5 minutes ago, I was thrashing around in the middle of a lake somewhere. Now I'm cycling along these beautiful roads. There's families outside their houses clapping for you. And it's really beautiful, smooth roads out in the middle of some fields. And I was starting to enjoy it. And then I thought, hey, this is meant to be a race. So maybe speed up a bit. And then I started drafting with some friends and some people I didn't know, let you come in behind them and pull you along as well. It was really friendly. And that was another of the things that surprised me. I kind of thought that triathlon is for these elite athletes who they're maybe snobs and they look down on other athletes because they're so much better because they do 3 disciplines, all of them really well. But actually everyone was really friendly. And even on the last triathlon I was in, during the swim, when there was people punching and kicking, I kicked someone, and being British, I turned around and managed to say sorry. And he managed to lift his head up and go, "Nie masz nic nie szkodzi." And we managed that in the middle of the so that was just another surprising thing, was how friendly the people are. And I've met many friends through triathlon in different clubs, different backgrounds, runners, cyclists, swimmers. It's also a really nice, surprising thing about it. Getting to the more serious side is, I was doing the same indoor triathlon that Dominika was mentioning, and we did it at the start of the year, and the swimming in the pool, I was still much slower than everyone else. The cycling, kind of average, but slow, and the running, I was fine. 20 minutes 5K, I was quite happy, but a bit disappointed. Although everyone did the first one, I decided to do it again. And I knew that I had to concentrate on swimming and cycling. So for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I had lots of swimming lessons, went to spinning classes once a week and cycled once a week, and then went and did the same triathlon again. Swimming time, almost exactly the same. Cycling time, again, maybe 30 seconds faster, and my running time was 2 minutes faster. So really, you hear about doing core training to help with running, not just running, but doing some strength training, doing some cross training, CrossFit, and I really found that doing the swimming, it helps build upper body strength and core strength. The cycling helps to develop muscles in your legs which are completely different from what you use for running when you're pulling up with the SBDs, and it really gives you more strength overall. And that in turn has helped improve my running. And since the time I started triathlon, my half marathon time came down from 1 hour 35 to 1 hour 25 in the space of just over a year. Before I started triathlon at all, I'd been running all my life, but never really run more than 10K. And since I started doing triathlon and realised I could do that, I just realised that I can do so much more than just running 10K. So I've run, I think, 3 marathons now in the last year. I'm going to do another one this year and a mountain race in Krynica, the festival Biegacz, with people from ENG. I did the tower running in Rondo 1. I don't know if anyone did that, but it's just kind of opened my mind to trying all these other new challenges, and I'm really enjoying that. And I guess I've got to thank the triathlon club for that, having a group of people around me, and just when you finish your first triathlon, I don't have the picture here, I didn't see if it was up earlier, but I don't remember seeing a picture of myself when I was just looking so happy and so sweaty at the same time. And it really beat any kind of feeling I had after finishing any marathon or race, or coming in the top 10 in a 10K or whatever. Finishing the first triathlon was the best feeling I had. So that was a surprise to me. Not as bad as I thought it would be. And
All right.
that's it.
Thanks for bragging about the 1 hour and 25-minute half marathon.
I have to get my PB in there.
Something I will never accomplish. No, actually, Andy's one of the most humble, least arrogant, accomplished runners that you'll find. Never talks about how good he is, but in fact, he's quite good. And I would say that I want to make one comment. You mentioned, like, you know, in the swim, kind of going from crawl to breaststroke. If you're going to breaststroke, please stay away from me in the water and the triathlon, please, okay? Just last week, I got kicked in the face again by some big, bulky guy who just started breaststroking out of nowhere, just off to my side. They should make it illegal, actually, but that's another story.